People have Alexas, Google Homes, and other smart devices in their homes. Heck, even I have a smartwatch I use when I'm running. While technology has been shown to make life's smaller tasks simpler and faster, it has also had a drastic change on humanity negatively. Technology decreases person-to-person interactions, decreases mood levels, and overall happiness. And worst of all, technology can strip away a lot of your privacy online. Technology is also shown to be very addictive, and this technology is mostly just recreational these days. What are we even going towards? This convenience has been shown to cause addiction, cause low moods, and strip away privacy. It's something we should be very concerned about towards the future and treat with utmost caution.
We're here to state the reason that technology and smart technology are not only a net positive for humanity, but that the negatives of technology and smart technology are not the fault of the technology. Thus, we do not need to be cautious of technology, but instead of ourselves as humans.
Another thing is that a lot of people, like what he said is that technology is mostly recreational nowadays, but a lot of people don't actually think about the more in-depth uses of technology and smart technology, such as in the medical field, which it has increased like how effective diagnoses are and stuff like that. They made the job of doctors significantly easier. Other places like accounting and financing and stuff like that makes that significantly easier. You can even predict how things are, like in the stock market and stuff like that, are going to go with them. And then past that, even with just security, a physical lock is a lot easier to break than a digital one if you spend any time trying to make it, and the only people that could break it are the people that could make it. So in general, there's far more positives with it. On top of that, another part is that technology, specifically social media, can in fact be addictive and elicit addictive behaviors like that. However, so there's two main types of addiction. There are chemical addictions caused by essentially like caffeine, as an example. You drink coffee, your body naturally produces things that have the exact same effect as caffeine, but the more that goes into your body, the less your body needs to keep making it. So then your body stops making it. You stop drinking caffeine or coffee and having caffeine, and your body isn't making the stuff that does the same thing, and you're not getting any in. You have no, thus you have no, you have like no energy, right? Then there's the other kind, which is more of a mental one, which can be caused. It's just a fact, a whole host of like mental factors, psychological things like that, and the specifically social media one, because it's not technology in general, it's more social media, stuff like that, all the studies on it. That one is kind of a mix of the two, but the way that it works is essentially every time you get a positive reinforcement, like a retweet or a like, it triggers the, as people call it, the happy center of your brain, which is the thing that produces certain chemicals like dopamine. And then your body starts to produce it on command for that, and then you get less and less each time. Because of, your body, it still creates it without it, but it's not as much. Your body feels like it needs more. The thing about that though is
turn off your phone.
That's all you gotta do. You can just not be on social media. It's not like, there's many different ways to do it, and with like privacy stuff, every single website that is a social media, you can just enable privacy settings, stuff like that, make it to where people that you don't know can't see your accounts and stuff like that, so that's just not an issue, like at all. You can do it on most of the things, make it to where they can't even see you have anything other than like a profile picture, stuff like that. So I don't feel as though there's really any privacy problems like that. And
okay, there's a lot to unpack there, but I'm not trying to go through it point by point. So your first point about healthcare, I actually think you're right that our improvements in technology have improved our ability to care for people. It's also increased the cost of healthcare, and because the technology costs a lot more, which is why you still have over 30 million people in this country who don't have healthcare. prices go up. And also our life expectancy rate is going down currently, so the technology improvements don't actually contribute to that. As far as your ideas about technology providing better security, I think you're right, even though you don't cite statistics. I think you generally make a good argument, but the problem with that is that technology also is unstable and has the potential to mess up, unlike a normal lock. And also technology is, you know, the average person cannot work technology, but some people could. So technology is not as reliable, even though it technically is more convenient. And then about social media. You kind of went into like a platitude sandwich because you said a lot about social media, but didn't actually say anything at all regarding the addiction to it. It doesn't really matter how you're addicted to technology, like what kind of addiction it is, it's still an addiction, and you spend a lot of time on it. And you know, if you say, just turn off your phone, it's like, I could just say, just stop doing heroin. It doesn't work that way. You need to actually do something. So that's a bad argument. It doesn't matter how you're addicted to technology, it's an addiction. There's a study by the University of Toronto where they surveyed over 500 students, and the average times a day that these students checked their phones was 80 times. And they may have not necessarily spent that much time on their phone each time they checked it, but it's always in their subconscious. They're always thinking about their phone, and that reduces productivity. And that's the issues with the addiction.
So, one of the first things to say is that, not to get into a political debate, but the increase in healthcare cost is pretty much only in America, and our life expectancy is pretty much only going down in impoverished countries and countries like America. If you look at other countries where they have just as effective healthcare systems, but it's cheaper and it's only becoming cheaper there, it's more of a political thing, and not because of the cost of it, it's because they want to charge you more. As an example, if you ever look at a medical bill for a surgery, they can cost, one of the bottles of saline they had, they might charge you $80. Whenever I looked at mine for one of my surgeries I had, it was $60. I could buy the exact same bottle at Walmart for $1.50. That is not the problem of technology making it more expensive, that is a problem of people wanting to make more money. So that doesn't make it more expensive. On the part of technology being less reliable, no, that's why we have it, because it's more reliable. Otherwise we wouldn't keep making better things if they were actually worse. Most things that are like high in security use digital locks alongside physical ones and things like that because they have a very, 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 very low failure rate, because if they didn't, they wouldn't exist because they wouldn't be useful. The other thing is they're just a lot more effective in the sense of like, you know, the better a physical lock is, usually the bigger it is, the harder it is to make. A digital one would be a lot easier and wouldn't have to be as big, but things like that. And with the whole social media thing, the addiction between social media and heroin is such a huge difference, because addictions such as social media and like caffeine, stuff like that, like the minor ones, can literally be solved in under 2 weeks. Your body starts creating those chemicals since they're such a core part of your body very quickly. It does take a while and it can be hard, but compared to things like heroin, which your body may never get used to not having, it's a huge difference. And also, the negative impacts of social media addiction aren't even nearly as bad. It's the difference between possibly literally losing your life and, oh man, not quite as happy, but still pretty happy because you still get the dopamine and stuff from doing that, and also it doesn't completely eliminate your body's ability to make those chemicals.
So we pass the mic back, like, you know, keeping in mind introducing new points, things like that. Like this is a new set of, this is a new round, is what I'm saying, as well.
Okay, I will briefly rebut and then we'll
Yeah.
Yes, I shall.
Okay, so about the healthcare, that's a pretty fair argument that it is about the cost, so I concede about that. When it comes to the technology and the security, I think it's more of a mental thing than anything, because like obviously this is anecdotal. I'm not saying this proves everything, but I live in a gated community, and the gate malfunctions about 90% of the time, and it's always just wide open. Obviously, that doesn't prove anything. What I'm trying to say is that technological security is almost like an artificial thing where we think we have more security because it feels more reliable. We're like, oh wow, like, you know, you think of a normal lock, and like, oh, they could just pick it. You think of a technological lock, and you're like, wow, that's great. I mean, you say, like, we continue improving technology because it has its benefits, and that's true, but you're just completely denying any of the hindrances to it. And as far as the social media addiction thing, yeah, I suppose you could say that I was making an unfair comparison between heroin and social media, but I mean, I was applying your logic, and by that logic, it was just flawed.
And what logic would that be?
Your logic that you could just quit addiction just by quitting.
I mean, with social media, when you kind of literally can. It takes almost no time comparatively. It's hard for that
Then
first
why do
step.
people not do it?
Because they don't really want to. Most people don't even know it's addicting. Most people just think, oh,
And
I
there's
like
the
doing it. I mean, that's not a technology problem, that's an awareness
Some
problem.
people with drug
No,
addiction.
no audience.
That's not a technology problem, that's an awareness problem.
All right, so, next point I want to make. Who here has a game on their phone?
No audience. No audience. No audience.
No audience.
Just hand raising.
No audience.
Yeah, seriously, so,
Yeah,
do
no
you have
audience.
games on your phone?
Which one? Yeah, I have one game.
Okay.
One game I haven't played in 2 months.
Yes, so my point there is, so these phones that are coming out, first you see the iPhone 10 or iPhone X, whatever you want to call it. You see that coming out. You keep seeing these iPhones coming out on a regular basis. And what's the point of it? What is the point of it? It is not to increase communication. No. They're increasing storage space. They're increasing the ability to see things. They're increasing streaming of videos on this. They're increasing it so it isn't just convenient, it's also for recreational use. That's my biggest point there, is that it's recreational use. And to add to that, this recreational use is also very addicting as well. Playing games on your phone, if you have a game on your phone, some games are very addicting. Like one game that was popular a few years back, Pokemon Go. It's a fairly addicting game, and while yes, it did get people to get outside and exercise sometimes, it was also a big addiction due to the simplicity of it. The simpler the game, sometimes the easier the addiction.
That argument sounds a whole lot like having fun and entertainment is a bad thing. And I mean, with certain games are literally designed to be addicting, but those aren't actually that addicting because, you know, people just stopped playing them after a while. Like Pokemon Go, a lot of people just kind of stopped playing them. They just really liked doing it, and having fun isn't a bad thing. Things are allowed to be used for entertainment. I mean, you know, you go back, you know, let's say 70 years, right? People, there were no phones, right? I mean, you go outside and grab a stick, you're using that for entertainment. That's bad. You're not allowed to have fun. So, I don't know.
You said that they're just making new phones to increase space for more games and stuff like that. No, they're making more space so you can store like phone numbers, pictures that you've taken like on vacation or out with friends or whatever, videos that you took with your friends out somewhere. Just records for stuff. It's not just games or whatever.
Just kind of anything you want it to be. I mean, that's kind of how technology is in general. It's whatever you want it to be. It is not an inherent thing. It is just whatever you use it for.
All right, so a lot there. You said that I was stating that this is bad. No, I was stating that the usage of this is purely recreational, and that's one point that I felt like making was important. This recreational usage on these phones can be addicting. Now, while that in itself may not be a problem to have recreational usage on your phones, it can be a problem if you're on games at work, in school, or when you're just not supposed to do that, for example. And Garrett, you said that the space increases on phones is for storing more phone numbers and storing more videos and pictures. Well, yes, to the videos and pictures. Storing phone numbers takes about a kilobyte of space. Storing a contact or a phone number, that's very, very little space used.
Just like, the whole point of that was just to say it's kind of for whatever you want it to be. Storage isn't exclusively for games.
Okay, I think what we were trying to say is we're not saying it's bad that technology is useful for having fun. What we're trying to say is that technology's problem is that people are using it almost purely for entertainment purposes and not for productivity. Because the issue with technology is that it's encouraging people to lose in their productivity. There's a study by Flurry Analytics, which is an organization that studies purely mobile devices. And on average, people spend 5 hours a day on their phone. You know how much of that is spent browsing the web or doing something productive? 8% of the entire 5 hours that they spend on their phone. So 92% of the time people spend on their phone is not productive. And it's not like it's much higher on their computers either. That's the point we're trying to make. Our point isn't that technology is bad because it's fun, but we are saying that we should be concerned about technology because of the fact that it encourages people to lack productivity. And the fact that technology is still being developed, I think the problem that we were trying to say there is that we keep developing technology, but the differences aren't very notable, at least in terms of phones. I don't think that could be applied to everything.
So my thing with that is, in what way is that the fault of technology? That's not the fault of, you know, the phone or the smart technology, because once again, that's just however you use it. You can use it for just about anything you want. That's more, if anything, the problem of the companies that make the games and stuff like that. That's not a problem with smart technology at all, because any sufficiently strong computer would have the ability, whether it be a phone or not, to do stuff like that. And that's not the fault of it, because once again, it's just a blank slate to be used however you want it to be. Another thing is, with the whole 8% being used for productive stuff, I mean, that means that about 4.5 hours of your day isn't being productive. I don't see how that's a bad thing unless you're at work for 16 hours. I don't see how 5 hours, a little under 5 hours, is a bad thing to have fun with. I mean, it's not that people are using it for fun too much or anything. If anything, it's just people aren't using it to its fullest for productive reasons. Because if you, I mean, like, and the other thing with what you said a second ago, with people using phones and stuff in places they shouldn't be, that is just not a problem with technology, because people don't pay attention when they're supposed to. That's a problem of people just not wanting to do stuff that they're supposed to. I mean, if you take out phones and computers, there's still people that aren't going to pay attention in school or aren't going to do their job. I know, because that's just how it works. Like at my most recent job, they didn't allow you to have phones on inside or outside, and people still just didn't do their job and got fired because of it. Because people just don't want to do stuff. That's not the problem with the technology at all. It doesn't, and also the technology doesn't encourage you to do anything, because it's a blank slate. Those apps aren't there on your, well, Facebook, if you have an Android, is usually there on your phone, but like, you're not forced to log in, you're not forced to use it. It doesn't say, hey, you should make sure and use this. It's your choice to do that stuff off the bat, and it doesn't encourage you to, because, you know, a calculator is also there inherently on pretty much all phones. The technology doesn't encourage you to do anything. It's the companies themselves, and that's how marketing works.
Are we ready to,
Transition again?
like, close?
Oh, do already go, yeah. I'll just do that and then we can transition. Okay. So about technology and it being the people's fault that they spend that much time being unproductive, I suppose that's true inherently, but you could also argue that our phones are continuing to be designed to make people be unproductive. It is designed inherently as a addictive device, and people would want to keep opening the same apps over and over, and to keep scrolling and keep scrolling. So yes, it's the people's fault that they concede and end up doing so, but the device itself is designed to cause them to do that. So it is technology's fault. You agree with that?
The phone is not designed to do that. That's the apps, which, once again, any company that wants to make a product is going to make you want to use it repeatedly. The phone is not designed to make you use it unproductively. It's designed to make you use it however you feel. And then people naturally go towards entertainment because that's how people work. They're going to always go for fun.
Okay. I suppose I'll use that to transition into the closer.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah, I think you're right that the apps in themselves are technology, and that gets to the bigger point here. And it's that technology is great for many reasons. It has plenty of benefits that we don't deny, but it also has a lot of issues in its design and the way it influences people and the way they behave and the fact that it lowers productivity. We're not saying that technology is purely an awful thing and that we should get rid of all technology. We're simply saying that technology clearly has its issues, and we need to understand those and rethink how we approach technology in the future. It's something we need to be concerned about, because right now, as we're seeing, people's productivity is going down and technology is not being used in great ways in a lot of different areas of life.
All right, and then so the thing is that we see it as technology does have way more positive effects. It has improved our life significantly than it does negative. There are definitely some negatives, but they're vastly outweighed by the positives. And also that, like, just one thing to use that 8% thing, that means 24% of your time is not using it productively. That once again, all the negative sides of it are 100% by choice, because you can at any point in time decide to use any technology productively. You just don't decide to. Even if it were like forcing you to use it unproductively for 4.5 hours or 4 hours 36 minutes, which would be 92% of it, you still don't have to only use it in those cases. That is 100% by choice. It's not a problem with technology, it's a problem with people just not wanting to be productive, and if you give them anything that will help them with that, that's what they'll do.